Hi all, welcome to this latest edition of Off the Post. Apologies for not doing this the last few weeks, just been caught with a few things with work and all that bits and bobs, and when I've finally wanted to do it, I've either been thinking what do I kind of detail and document, but we've got there in the end with what we're trying to cover for this week's edition. So basically, with the international break pretty much wrapped up, I thought let's detail kind of a few points that we wanted to bring up from it, and it's we'll talk about the Euros first. I'm going to talk a little bit African Cup of Nations because that deserves some attention due to what the topics that we're going to talk about. So basically, with a lot of the countries basically qualified for the Euros, like Spain, Scotland, France, England, Turkey, Belgium, Austria, there's quite a few, Portugal as well is another one, that basically what needs to kind of happen, I would say, for a lot of these countries, especially I'm going to reference Scotland especially for this, is that they need to look at calling up players that, in essence, get them tied down to Scotland now, if they want to be serious to be with, say, Scotland, for example. Norway and Georgia is perfect because they're official games, not friendlies or anything of that nature. And it would also kind of say to the rest of the squad that your spot is not, say, guaranteed, basically. And there's easily, say, 10 or 15 players I can think of off the top of my head for Scotland. Some obviously are missing due to injury, so I've not included them in this list. But for me just now, the 10 I would legitimately call up for Norway and Georgia, if fit, are as follows. So this is no particular order, this is just the way when I've been doing my research on them. Ryan Gauld, who should be called up, because if we don't call him up, we'll lose him to Canada. And that's, I don't mean to sound cheeky, but that's going to happen sooner or later, because Canada will just come nabbing for him, because they'll be like, oh, Scotland's not calling you up, oh, we'll take you. So you've qualified, use these games as games to get the official players tied down to Scotland, so that way you're not losing them, but then you've got depth for those kind of positions if needed. So it's nobody has an excuse in terms of what to expect. Jordan Holsgrove as well, he plays in Portugal the last couple of years, been really steady. Pacos Ferreira last season, he's at Estoril this season. If he's fit, I'd get him in, gets him in that midfield, and just sorts out, because everyone will use the whole Ben Doak thing. I'm trying to suggest alternatives to Ben Doak, if honest. Tom Kearney's maybe another. He's only got 2 caps and they're both friendlies, so give him an official call up and you're fine. Yes, he's kind of gold, but he's playing in Premiership, so what is it what's putting him off calling him up? Get him tied down in an official game, and it gives players that aren't necessarily maybe going to need to worry about their position per se, but at least it gives others a chance to say, right, you're going to call up. Defensively wise, Michael Rose and Hyam, get them called up, give them a chance. There's plenty of players in the Championship that spring to mind for that could get a nod for a cap potentially. Yes, you'd be like, oh, Championship, my word, like your Rose, Hyam, Porteous, etc. But is what is. Sariki Dembele, another an attacking option to kind of consider. Just ties him down. If he wants to be part of Scotland, fine. If not, that's fine. But he's one a few others that can play for, not just for Scotland, but it's with England, Netherlands, Italy, France. They're all players just now that could get called, that in theory, or Germany even, I've seen in some of their cases, that they could get called. If they get called up for England or Germany or Scotland or France, whatever, great, then they're tied down. But the African nations especially, there's a few in the Caribbean, not just Jamaica, but I think it's Suriname and Curacao and whatever. they all could nab like respective players from other countries, and it's like you might all like I've just got 10 here alone just for Scotland that, as I said, could get nabbed by other countries if so wish. Like Josh Doig's another. Like I can't see Italy want to nab him because they've got like so many options at that left back, left wing back, left mid that like why would they want to call him up? But obviously, if he was to stay in Italy long enough, you never know. Andy Irving's another one that's been touted. Like why not? Just get if he's playing in Austria and playing well. As they say, get some tied. My point is, it's tying them down is what I'm trying to get at. If they're not great, then tough. Well, like if they're playing well in the league, great. If they're not good enough beyond that cap, then so be it. But at least you've got them tied down on the hope that they might be long-term options. Like these two in particular, Elliot Anderson and Tino Livramento. Like Livramento has a Scottish mum and like a Portuguese father, yet he's representing England. I'd be saying to myself, if I was Portugal and Scotland, I'd be saying, why are we not calling him up? Like, he can play for us both. Like, Portugal need probably a right back, Scotland need a right back. Why not do it? Like in Portugal's case, maybe less so because they've got like they can have like Cancelo, Ricardo Pereira, Dalot right back. We on the other hand lack a little bit right back. Yes, I'll say Nathan Patterson, but Livramento is probably a more finished article just now for a player than Patterson, I would say. Patterson's maybe a bit rough around the edges. Elliot Anderson was called up, but sadly didn't happen. It's like with Harvey Barnes and there was like what I read that it was like Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, and a couple others. They could all get called up for Scotland. Obviously, Barnes could, I suppose, and like there'd be nothing wrong with that. Like if he wants to be part of Scotland, but if they're Scottish, basically, whether it be a parent, birth, whatever that ties them down to like a Scottish heritage, and if they want to be part of Scotland, despite maybe say played all their career in England or whatever, but they feel no attachment to say England, then why not nab them now? Because I feel like we're going to lose them. Like I know in like Doig's case, left back, left wing back's not a problem, but we can't always rely on Tierney and Robertson. Like there'll be times where we've got either an injury crisis or they're suspended because they might pick up bookings, for example. And you never know, it might come up to a situation like this where it's we've got Norway and Georgia, or say San Marino and Cyprus or whoever. We've maybe got the two weakest teams in the pot. And for like say the last two fixtures, and you say to yourself, why not experiment? And this is what the point with Scotland should be now, because for what I've seen with like the Netherlands in particular, I think there's a few players for like Netherlands and France, they've got the same situation just now where like especially France, I think it was, there was a couple, I think it was like 3 or 4 players that have not been called up for France but could play for like African countries in particular. I think it was one that could play for, I think it was Haiti. I think I saw in my note when I was noting around. I was like, there's tons of like players that just now that they're playing well for club. Whether it be this season, the last 12, 18 months, 2 years, whatever. They're not even getting called up, but there's so many other countries they could play for, and you see yourself, well, you don't want to really lose them because you never know when you might need them, especially because people talk about the sheer volume of games that footballers play for club, whether it be in the league, your cups, European fixtures, and then for your country on top. So there's a lot over, say, a 12-month span. Getting a chance to get a break for, say, 2 games or 3 games or 1 game, whatever, and knowing that you can play for your national team if you're deemed good enough helps as well, because at the end of the day, if there's a chance of playing at the Euros, if you're say if I was Scottish and I was playing in England, and say up till I was under 21, I was playing for Scotland, but say we'll just say for talking sake, I'm playing for a Liverpool or a Manchester United or an Aston Villa, which would never happen even in real life, because I wouldn't play for them. I'd want to stay with Hibs. I want to be a one club man. That say I could have won say Player of the Month for say we'll just say September, and people maybe are writing in the papers and media saying, why am I not getting called up for Scotland? Why is G not getting called up for Scotland? He's never been called up. He's played in the under 21s, and England are sniffing. Also, because of my nationalities, I could fall under Ireland and Netherlands. You could say they might come sniffing about as well. They could say under residency rules he could play for England. For countries of birth, it could be Scotland, Ireland, or the Netherlands. And for all you know, I might be like, Netherlands might be the country that might get me the furthest in a competition. Scotland maybe qualify every so often. Ireland, you might be seeing it as I could get 100 caps, that'd be it, no problem kind of attitude. So you might see yourself, you could get 100 caps for Ireland, you might get 25 to 50 for the Netherlands, but you're maybe you might win something like Nations League, Euros, World Cup, you never know. Scotland, you're maybe, same with Ireland, you might get say 50 to 75 caps, but you're qualifying for every competition here or there. I'm also not saying 100 caps for Scotland, because I highly doubt you'd push that, but I'm saying for maybe Ireland, because you might end up playing with them till you're like 40 or whatever. But like I know for Spain, they'll play a lot of the youngsters, the players that they would like to tie down for a long time, really. That's what they would want to do. And I think this is what a lot of countries should do. If you're qualified for competitions, use these games in essence, yes, as friendlies, but also as a way to say, right, let's as I said, experiment with like countries. And I think that's why like African Cup of Nations just after the year is kind of adopting that strategy. I think I could be wrong with some of those teams possibly considering it, but I suppose with anything, you just wait and see and kind of what comes from it really at the end of the day, because teams that have different expectations, and you're just trying to balance out what you can do most capably at the time, really. So see what happens for them and just take it from there. So that's kind of like the national team situation at the moment. From there, we're just kind of dip and dodge between like all the leagues just now. Obviously, Tottenham and Arsenal lead the way over Man City. People thinking Man City are losing their way. Is there inconsistencies starting to set in? Long way to go, really. Like, you've still got 30 games. We've had 2 international breaks. Time will tell. Championship, folk are already of the assumptions that just done and dusted. Is it just Leicester's and Ipswich to go up? Same problem again. Long way to go. That's what you've got to remember. There's still 35 games in the division, and there's a lot of midweek games. So don't count your chickens yet. Pompey just keep them and Mansfield. They're like the only unbeaten teams I think in the whole of England, apart from like I want to say, well, in like I think if you were to go, in fact, start again. Just out of like the division, Tottenham and Arsenal are the only unbeaten teams left in the Premiership. If you go to like the Championship, Sadly, no one has that mantle anymore, despite their best efforts. Leicester obviously are 10 wins, 1 loss. Like Pompey and Mansfield to go, the amount of games that they have, in Pompey's case 12, Mansfield's case is 13. To actually go 5 wins, 8 draws is pretty impressive. Like, I would say if Mansfield or Pompey could go anything over 20 games unbeaten, fair play to them, and I genuinely mean that. Like now, like, or in fact, better yet, go the first set of fixtures without losing a game. If you could go the first set of fixtures without losing a game, I would say that is impressive, in my opinion. But we will wait and see. I like when I go around like Scotland in general, for example. I find it funny how like the Premiership is so lopsided early. Like Celtic 22 points, but then like Rangers and St Mirren are 15, and then it's a massive jump then to 11. You say to yourself, we're 8 games in and it goes 22, 15, 11. You say to yourself, what is going on in the division to be that inconsistent? Like Rangers aren't firing because they've lost 3 games. They have obviously a new manager in the form of Philippe Clement, former Genk, Beveren, Monaco and Club Brugge manager. See what you can do for them. Like they'd like to push up the table and get more competitive to Celtic, but obviously they've got Hibs in their weekend game, and then Hibs have got Celtic the following week, so that'll be a laugh. But see what happens. At the moment, I'm of the mindset that like the bottom 4 could be the bottom 4 in the end. Just a case of who gets it. Like St Johnstone at the moment, for me, I think are the team to go down. But as we have said many a time, the days of a 12-10-10-10 system in Scotland need to go, in my opinion, and I genuinely mean that. Simply because it's so outdated, and when you look at like the Championship in particular, and even say League One, like Championship and League One, all 10 teams to an extent, I would probably say all 10 teams, if you give them a chance, could like all of them could go into the Premiership and be not just competitive, but would bring good fans to the league, really, as it were. And I remember reading something the other day that Scottish football should really look to adopt a spring fall as it's classed, like, so it's like a spring autumn calendar, as it were. And I was like, really, could that really work? I thought it would be different to England, but at the same time, I suppose if you're starting your games in like warmish weather and still ending in warmish weather, then what you're trying to do is bring more eyes to your product by being different. Because I think the point it was trying to make was that teams in the league would have their European games more so after like the end of the season. So yes, it'd be a bit ragged, but for the teams that are in like the qualifiers, they would be fresh, they'd be fit, they'd have games in them. Whereas when they go into pre-season, they've maybe got, like as we saw with Hibs against in Andorra against Inter Escaldes, they lost in Andorra, and you could have put down it a plethora of reasons. They just didn't look sharp and all that kind of stuff, and probably the manager and whatnot. But it's a lot of things like that, and as I said, I'll keep banging that drum that Scottish football needs to look at adopting for my eyes, when you look at it, yes, there's 42 teams across 4 divisions. You can very easily make the top 2 divisions 18 teams. If you really wanted to, you could make the top division 20. That would not be a problem. It would then mean you keep the 12 that are in the Premiership just now, and you would say to the top 8 in the Championship, you're all playing for promotion to the Premiership. You say 9th and 10th, there's no relegation or anything of that. You would just stay in the Championship for next season. You would then say to all the teams in League 1 and League 2 respectively that you're playing for a chance to be in, like, you'd say all the League 1 teams, you're playing into the Championship next season, so you're getting promoted basically, say, regardless. What you would maybe say to these teams is maybe say, not necessarily, you could, in fact, yeah, prize money is where I'm getting it with it. You'd say, if you're the champions, you might say you're maybe getting an extra 50,000, say second is 25, third is 20, 15 is 15, whatever. You maybe give extra money just to each of the division spots as possible. So you'd have 2 teams, say, left from the Championship. You've got the 10 League 1 teams going into the Championship, so you're at 12. Then your 10 teams from League 2, you give it to the top 6 to say, right, you folk playing into the League 1. The 4 teams that are Championship, we're still on, that was my fault, 2, 12, 18. The 4 teams that aren't promoted, so you would say 7th to 10th, you go into League 1, but then you would go through like your Lowland League, your Highland League, West of Scotland, so the likes of your East Kilbrides, Berwick Rangers, Albion Rovers, East Stirling, etc., Fraserburgh, whoever else you want to kind of rattle off, all these kind of teams, you would say, right, how many spots can you give from each of these leagues to say, right, let's put them into the League 1. So that way, you're at that point, you're, say, 20 for top division, you've got 18 from the Championship, League 1 and League 2. So that gives you, like, as I say, that's basically putting 42 teams to use across, in essence, 3 divisions initially, but then your other 14 spots that you're maybe going to give into League 1, and then League 2 could be what, like, your 4th tier becomes all your regionals, that in essence, so like your Highland, your West, your South, your East and West, whatever, so you maybe have 5 regions. Do what like Germany and Spain and everywhere else does, like, but we don't to an extent. Yes, we kind of call them Highland League, West of Scotland, etc., but make that like your 4th tier in the pyramid, like really just kind of refine it a lot better, and it gives the potential to then say, right, you would hope for, say, Scottish football, you might say, because of maybe moving to an 18 or a 20 team league, that you could say there's an argument for 6 places or 7 places in Europe. So you might say top 2 get Champions League, maybe even top 3 for all that matter. 4th, 5th and 6th could be Europa League, and then 7th gets the Conference League if we're going 20, or depending on the coefficient at the time as well, you might have to factor that in as well. But it would at least then make say the top 7 in essence feel like they're playing for something, not necessarily, but maybe say you'd maybe have champions and second are probably in the pot regardless for Champions League. Say 4th is automatic in Europa League. say 3rd and 5th have to maybe go the playoff round, and then 6th and 7th maybe they're, say 6th maybe has like the 3rd qualifying round, 7th could be say the playoff round or qualifies automatically or something. You'd sort it out, you'd put a fair system in place. You would then use the argument of League Cup and Scottish Cup for regarding Europe, so that could take a spot away from, depending who wins it, or accelerates the round potentially for one of the teams as well. But like, there's so much that Scottish football can do, like deep down anyway, I feel, and I just feel it's where it lags behind. It goes back to TV deals as well, like where it be scat. Like for me personally, if you were to go 2018-18, 2018-18, so that would be 56. Like your top 3 divisions, I think you could put a package together that would make the Premiership more attractive for the league, for people to tune into. So like the Premiership, Championship and League One, you'd do your best as well, and you'd probably end up being surprised, because if the Scottish if say Sky Sports and or TNT or even BBC themselves, if you put something together to say, right, say Scottish Premiership, Scottish Championship, you say, right, we're going to do Friday night football and like say a Sunday game, like, or you might even do it for each division. In fact, you maybe say, right, we're going to do one game from each division, maybe either every week or whatever. You maybe sort out a plan, especially when it's warmer weather. You say, right, put it on the telly, whether it be Sky, BBC, whatever division. You might, each division maybe gets that chance. You then say Saturday, you might put a Saturday night game in as well, because obviously you've got 10 teams playing in the top division, 20 teams now playing in the top division. You want to kind of balance out games a little bit, so you'd maybe play a lunchtime game, you'd maybe have an evening game. Say a Sunday, you'd do them like a lunchtime and an evening game as well, and same for, and maybe put a Monday night one. You'd try and make yourself kind of mirror say English football, but you go back to looking at other top leagues like Spain, like Germany. Well, less so Germany, because they don't like doing Monday night games. They like your Friday, Saturday, Sundays. But Spain do, say, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Or Italy's another great one. I like it. Italy's a prime example of, like, say, 2 Friday night games, 2 games on a Saturday, maybe say 2 to 4 games on a Saturday, 2 to 4 games on a Sunday, and then maybe 2 games on a Monday. And like Scottish football could easily adopt a similar strategy for 20 teams and 18-20 teams, and it would be fun to actually, like, for me, I would find myself enjoying more going to say Rafe for a Dundee United or a Partick or an Arbroath or an Airdrie, even going up the road like to like Dingwall or Inverness or whatever, or Queen, or even a Queen of the South for all you know, or whatever. Something that just kind of revitalises it a bit, and that's what I feel like it needs. And until that happens, nothing's going to change. But yeah, I feel like Scottish football needs something, the national teams need something, and football in general just needs kind of something to kind of get out the doldrums just now, I feel, because it's just, I feel football just now seems to produce more negative press, especially just now. I didn't want to mention like the betting stuff, because that's not necessarily a delicate issue, but there's like so many little subconscious things that there is just now with football that you say to yourself, come on, there's definitely better things that can be done, and it's just something needs done really at the end of the day. But hey ho, see what happens and we take it from there. But let me know, folks, your thoughts about Scottish football, national teams, anything in general. So have a good one, folks. Take it easy all, and I will catch you all later.